To preside over the awarding of today's honorary degree, I present the President of Adelphi University, Dr. Christine M. Riordan.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the tradition of the Academy, it is customary to accompany a graduation ceremony with the awarding of an honorary degree to an individual of remarkable accomplishment. The Adelphi Board of Trustees bestows this honor to give our graduates a living example of the limitless possibilities that an Adelphi education, hard work, and persistence can bring. I now ask that Mr. Ron Lee, Chair of the Board of Trustees, to please join me to oversee these proceedings. I also ask that faculty sponsor Gregory Letter to escort Alan C. Trautwig downstage to be duly recognized. As a young boy in Queens, our honoree worked as a stick boy for the New York Islanders and a ball boy for the New York Nets, and he pretended to do play-by-play commentary from the bench. As an Adelphi University student, he majored in business, but he had a fanatical interest in sports and started broadcasting Adelphi games. Today, Mr. Trautwig is one of sports' busiest and most respected announcers. An 8-time Olympics announcer, the winner of 2 national Emmys, 3 New York Emmys, and a New York State Sportcaster of the Year award, he is a world-renowned announcer. He has covered the NHL, the Yankees, the Knicks, the Rangers, the Tour de France, the New York City Marathon, and the US Open. So I think you can say that this kid from Queens has become a master of his craft. Ladies and gentlemen, the sporting world's master storyteller, Mr. Al Trautwig, class of 1978. I now officially welcome Dr. Al Trautwig to address the class of 2017.
Good morning. What an amazing sight and an extraordinary honor. To everyone within the sound of my voice who played a role in allowing me to be here, it's too late to change your mind. By the way, I guess now that I am a doctor, I can help you out with all your prescription needs. I'll see you after commencement. I would like to thank Dr. Robert Scott and Rory Schaefer-Walsh for enthusiastically welcoming me back to Adelphi. It has changed my life by forcing me to rethink things that I have done and still want to do. My students helped me do that too in the last 3 years. Thanks, guys. To President Christine Riordan, the trustees, distinguished guests, alumni, teachers, staff, moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, and the workers at the Ruth S. Harley Starbucks, thank you for all that you have done to help create this fabulous class of 2017. This is the 121st commencement in the history of the Adelphi. I think mine was the 3rd, but I'm not sure. But think about that. That is a tradition you will forever be proud to be a part of. I've seen how many of you are dedicated to social work and giving back. You're all a bunch of do-gooders, okay? Now, seriously, you're headed down a righteous path, and the world needs you. To this entire class, I can say that one day you can stand where I'm standing because back in 1978, I sat where you are sitting. On that day, I had no idea I would become a broadcaster or that I had already met the woman that would become my cherished wife. I know. Could be a nice evening. And that we would have one of the greatest sons ever. No idea I would go to 16 Olympics, fly an F-15, play basketball against the Harlem Globetrotters, race a car on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, stand next to my favorite Yankee of all time, Paul O'Neill, on a float in the Canyon of Heroes in 1996, or that I would do that 3 more times. Or that Marc Messier would one day, sorry, dude, tell me that it was okay to sip champagne from the Stanley Cup. Those are the kinds of possibilities that lie ahead for all of you. Okay, maybe not the Stanley Cup thing, but most of it. But it's all very exciting. I have lived a large part of my life hosting pre-games, games, and post-games. And it strikes me that for most of you, this day marks the end of your pre-game show. Now, the real game begins. I have seen tangible evidence of what champions are made of, what it takes to win the game. After all, isn't that what life is all about? I think that's what I love most about sports. You play to win at life as you do in sports. This past Knicks season, after one of their bad losses, and I had a few to choose from, I wondered if the coach would tear into the team. Then after all these years, it dawned on me. That only makes sense if the team has outwardly stated what their intentions were before the games began. Did they want to win a championship, or just be competitive and maybe make the playoffs? Or even worse, let's just wait and see what happens. This is what you must do as soon as possible. Tell yourself what standard you want to set. Be just good enough, be very good, or be great. Then every time you succeed or fail, you can honestly see if you did everything that you could. You have to be brutally honest with yourself, because that is what life will be with you. Derek Jeter is probably a good standard to start with around here. He had a Yankee poster on the wall of his room as a kid, told people that was his dream. They made fun of it, but it was and it became his reality. When he was called up in 1995, all the scouts would tell us was that his footwork was terrible. Terrible as in no shot. So what was he doing when the next spring training began? He was learning how to dance over the second base bag with his teammate, Luis Sojo. Literally. Footwork became a strength. He became a 5-time champion, married his love, started his own business, and now has access to millions, if not billions of dollars. That is success for him. Now, you probably won't have a Jeter-like career, but you should try. How do you define success? Winning? Money? Family? Love? All of the above? That is something you also must do, and say it out loud to yourself. What does success mean to you? Make a plan to achieve it, and have a plan B, and have a plan C. When I was a teenager, I worked for the Nets basketball team, a team I loved. In a really big game, they were almost instantly down by 20. I was crushed, and I saw no hope. Their head coach, Lou Carnesecca, was a legend. And at the end of the first quarter in the timeout, he screamed, "Just get it down to 10 by halftime." It was his plan B, and it worked, and they won. What a cool concept, I thought. After you graduate, don't let your failures, which will happen, get you down. Just fix them a little bit at a time. My dad died in 1997. At that time, Jeff Van Gundy was the no-nonsense head coach of the Knicks. The Knicks were in the playoffs, and walking out to the court to coach one of the biggest games he ever coached, Jeff stopped by me and said, "Sorry about your dad." It was thoughtful and very human. There's always time for that. Little things become big things. I'm still thinking about it 20 years later. Be great at the simple little things. Jeff also told me that the cause of all his worst losses of all time were free throws. One of the simplest things a basketball player has to do. Be great at the simple little things. The Knicks once had a player by the name of David Lee. He came into the league as a hard-working rebounder, but a bad free throw shooter. His second season, he improved by 30%, unheard of, and I asked him how. He explained that he went to a shooting coach and learned that there are two aspects to a free throw: the rise up and the release. Two elements. If you pause at the rise, all you have to do is the release. He had removed half the potential for error. He became an all-star, owner of an $80 million contract, and won a championship with the Golden State Warriors. There are so many of us out there who are not great at what they do and never try to get better. I don't get that. Ask for advice. Seek it out. It's what the greats do. I have a friend at CBS News, and one of his jobs is to interview all the prospective interns, and he's been doing it for a very long time. Along the way, his own son graduated college and was all set up for the big interview for the great job that he absolutely coveted. That dad said, "Do you want to rehearse?" And his son laughed. It was such a dad thing. The day of the interview, his son texted his dad and asked, "Any tips?" Don't be that guy. There are two things that are essential to winning: trust and communication. If I pass you the puck, do I trust that you're going to do something good with it? If someone tells you to run a play, do you trust that they have given you the right play? Surround yourself with people you trust. Nurture and cherish those relationships. It will help you win. You do that with communication. Ask questions and get answers. Are you doing the right thing? How do people perceive you? That's an important question, and more important, the answer. Get it from someone you trust. You are about to try and enter the workforce, and will probably do so sending a text or an email, which is the world you live in. Understand, though, the ultimate deal sealer will come from the old face-to-face communication. You and the person who will decide your fate. The interview, eye to eye. What are you about? Are you a good teammate? Why should I hire you? These are the things that are about to happen in the game you are about to play. In this case, you can predict the future. You can prepare for those moments. Those are your free throws. Practice your answers over and over, and then do it again. Now, some of you don't care about sports. Well, here's one last thing I've noticed in preparing to talk to you today. Thinking of all the people I have admired over the years, there was one major thread that tied them all together. Whether it was music, medicine, finance, or nursing, all of the highest achievers had an intense curiosity about their world and what they did. Curiosity has led to every discovery, invention, or cure. Every great legal case or merger. Everything. You have learned a great deal at Adelphi, but you will be amazed at what you have not been taught. You will have to learn those things by yourself using curiosity. So now here I stand getting ready for my postgame. And trust me, when you get here to this point, you will want to look back with pride at the decisions you made starting right now, today. Good luck, and enjoy the game. You can do this.